Ken Pilon says he's been cheating the Grim Reaper his whole life. The Regina man was 11 months old when he almost died due to dehydration. At 19, he was in a highway car collision and had cancer at 45. At 51, he went through a red light when heading to a comedy show because he had experienced a grand mal epileptic seizure. March is Epilepsy Awareness Month in Canada, and Ken is here, joins us now to explain. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Adam.
Ken, that's just an incredible story, and for you, we'll start with epilepsy and your experience. What do you want people to know about epilepsy being its Epilepsy Awareness Month?
Well, the first thing, let's get rid of the urban myth. If you see someone having a seizure, do not put a pencil or anything else in their mouth. They could choke. What you want to do is get them on their side, away from any sharp corners or edges where they can hurt themselves while they're thrashing about. The other thing is, do not fear it any more than any other part of the human condition. All you can do is help people.
Or can I mention that you ran a red light unintentionally because you experienced a seizure? What do you remember about that, if anything?
I remember turning left, preparing to turn left onto highway number 1. I do not remember completing the turn. And that's when my spouse was able to turn off the vehicle, turn on the four-way flashers, allow the vehicle to coast to a safe spot, and then she called 911. And I can't imagine the trauma she went through as a passenger. I have no recall of it occurring.
So what happened next?
I woke up in the emergency ward, not knowing why I was there. There's about 6 or 7 hours of that day is missing in my brain.
And so, did the seizures continue? Did they know what was occurring with you?
Well, it was immediately diagnosed as epilepsy, and then I had a CT scan and an EEG. Was confirmed, but as time progressed, the seizures began to occur more often and more intensely. And I was finally sent to the adult epilepsy clinic up in Saskatchewan. I was unique in that I was 51 when that occurred.
And why is that unique?
Epilepsy, from what I've read and understand, is not uncommon in children, but most children will outgrow it. To have my first seizure, my first grand mal seizure at age 51, very, very unique. And as we progressed through all the treatment, I had EEGs, CAT scans, MRIs, and finally, my doctor, sadly deceased, Dr. Tejas Zenteno, I went through a 5-day EEG. I was taken off of my medications, and in that 5 days, I had about a dozen seizures. And they captured the portion of my brain where the seizures were occurring, and it was from that special test that they were able to identify which piece they needed to cut out.
And so that was the diagnosis, and then the treatment was to remove a part of your brain.
That removed that portion of my brain.
What was that like for you?
There was a sense of, I'm not sure excitement is the right word, but relief that this is going to put an end to it. But the fallout from that, we found out that my brain was having seizures, which occur at different intensities. My brain was having about 200 seizures per day.
Wow.
And Dr. Tejas Zenteno believes that I may have been having those seizures my whole life. But because they were so minor, nobody knew.
And when you think back, and I know that memory is one thing that's affected by this procedure, but when you think back, does anything come to mind? Or maybe that was a seizure, or maybe I was experiencing some difficulty.
There were 4 or 5 incidents occurred, maybe 5 years before that first grand mal, that in hindsight we analyze it and say, you know what, that was probably a seizure. So have you ever had a déjà vu? That's epilepsy. Or an aura. Some people might have auras. That's epilepsy.
Wow.
And a déjà vu, for example, it's the here now portion of your brain and the memory part of your brain both fire at the same time. And you're going, well, I know what's going to happen now.
So what would be your advice to folks that are experiencing this either as an adult or with their child?
Get medical help. And probably the most important is listen to your pharmacist. I went through such a series of medications that I was allergic to. One even caused a psychotic break. Because that 5-day procedure, I was taken off my medications. And then one of the most common medications was given to me IV to get me back on track, and it caused a psychotic break.
So post surgery now, and you've been living with this for a while, and now you're speaking out about it and sharing your experience with people publicly, doing advocacy. How has your life been affected by this procedure?
I am very emotional. I'm emotional now. I don't reason properly in a lot of situations. I may say something that's insulting or inappropriate, do something that's inappropriate. My short-term memory, if we need 3 things from the grocery store, I need a list. Otherwise, I'm coming home with the wrong things. To cook a meal, I need to write down, put the potatoes on to boil, put the vegetables on, put the meat on. Otherwise, you're going to get something raw and something burnt. Because I just don't remember those tiny little factors day by day by day.
And how have things improved for you? I know those are big challenges, but you are here today talking to us.
I'm here today. A good friend of ours, who happens to be a family member, gave me some tips. And one of the things I do is, and have since the surgery, I sleep every afternoon. And I use a sleeping mask. I'm in bed so often, the sleeping mask, not only does it turn out the lights in the afternoon, but when I wake up, I don't know if it's morning or afternoon. The sleeping mask is now the trigger to tell me, oh, okay, it's afternoon. So it's things like that. Each night before I go to bed, I journal. I will write down 3 things that were nice about my day or said to me, and then 3 things that I liked about the day. So, Adam, you're going to be in my journal tonight for doing this interview.
Ken, I really appreciate that. You're a valued listener of our program, and we thank you sharing your story with us today and telling your listeners about your experience. Thanks so much.
Thank you.